Good morning, boys and girls. I'm happy to be with you here again today. And today I'm going to read you two stories again. The first one is called Bread and Jam for Francis, and it's written by Russell Hoban, and the pictures are by Lillian Hoban. It was breakfast time, and everyone was at the table. Father was eating his egg. Mother was eating her egg. Gloria was sitting in a high chair and eating her egg, too. Francis was eating bread and jam. "What a lovely egg," said Father. "If there's one thing I am fond of for breakfast, it is a soft-boiled egg." "Yes," said Mother, spooning up egg for the baby. "It is just the right thing to start the day." "Ah," said Gloria, and she ate up her egg. Frances did not eat her egg. She sang a little song to it. She sang the song very softly. "I do not like the way you slide. I do not like your soft inside. I do not like you lots of ways, and I could do for many days without eggs." "What did you say, Frances?" asked her father. "Nothing," said Frances, spreading jam on another slice of bread. "Why do you keep eating bread and jam?" asked Father, "when you have a lovely soft-boiled egg?" "One of the reasons I like bread and jam," said Frances, "is that it does not slide off your spoon in a funny way." "Well, of course," said Father, "not everyone is fond of soft-boiled eggs for breakfast, but there are other kinds of eggs. There are sunny-side-up and sunny-side-down eggs." "Yes," said Frances, "but sunny-side-up eggs lie on the plate and look up at you in a funny way, and sunny-side-down eggs just lie on their stomachs and wait." "What about scrambled eggs?" said Father. "Scrambled eggs fall off the fork and roll under the table," said Frances. "I think it's time for you to go to school now," said Mother. Frances picked up her books, her lunchbox, and her skipping rope. Then she kissed Mother and Father goodbye and went to the bus stop. While she waited for the bus, she skipped and sang, "Jam on biscuits, jam on toast. Jam is the thing that I like the most. Jam is sticky, jam is sweet, jam is tasty, jam's a treat. Raspberry, strawberry, gooseberry, I'm very fond of jam." That evening for dinner, Mother cooked breaded veal cutlets with string beans and baked potatoes. "Ah," said Father, "what is there handsomer on a plate and tastier to eat than breaded veal cutlet?" "It is a nice dish, isn't it?" said Mother. "Eat up the string bean, Gloria." "Oh," said Gloria, and she ate it up. She had already eaten her dinner of strained beef and sweet potatoes, but she liked to practice with the string bean when she could. "Where do breaded veal cutlets come from?" asked Frances. "And why are French-cut stringless beans called string beans?" "We can talk about that another time," said Father. "Now it is time to eat our dinner." Frances looked at her plate and sang, "What do cutlets wear before they're breaded? Flannel nightgowns, cowboy boots, furry jackets, sailor suits?" Then she spread jam on a slice of bread and took a bite. "She won't try anything new," said Mother to Father. "She just eats bread and jam." "How do you know what you'll like if you won't even try anything?" asked Father. "Well," said Frances, "there are many different things to eat, and they taste many different ways. But when I have bread and jam, I always know what I am getting, and I am always pleased." "You try new things in your school lunches," said Mother. "Today I gave you a chicken salad sandwich." "There now," said Father to Frances. "Wasn't it good?" "Well," said Frances, "I traded it to Albert." "For what?" said Father. "Bread and jam," said Frances. The next morning at breakfast, Father sat down and said, "Now I call that a pretty sight. Fresh orange juice and poached eggs on toast. There's a proper breakfast for you." "Thank you for saying so," said Mother. "Poached eggs do have a cheery look, I think." Frances began to sing a poached egg song. "Poached eggs on toast, why do you shiver with such a funny little quiver?" Then she looked down and saw that she did not have a poached egg. "I have no poached egg," said Frances. "I have nothing but orange juice." "I know," said Mother. "Why is that?" said Frances. "Everybody else has a poached egg. Even Gloria has a poached egg, and she's nothing but a baby." "But you do not like eggs," said Mother, "and that is why I did not poach one for you. Have some bread and jam if you are hungry." So Frances ate bread and jam and went to school. When the bell rang for lunch, Frances sat down next to her friend Albert. "What do you have today?" said Frances. "I have a cream cheese, cucumber, and tomato sandwich on rye bread," said Albert, "and a pickle to go with it. And a hard-boiled egg and a little cardboard shaker of salt to go with that. And a thermos bottle of milk. And a bunch of grapes and a tangerine and a cup of custard and a spoon to eat it with. What do you have?" Frances opened her lunch. "Bread and jam," she said, "and milk." "You're lucky," said Albert. "That's just what you like." and you don't have to trade with me now." "That's right," said Frances, "and I had bread and jam for dinner last night and for breakfast this morning." "You certainly are lucky," said Albert. "Yes," said Frances, "I am a very lucky girl, I guess, but I'll trade you if you want to." "That's all right," said Albert. "I like cream cheese with cucumbers and tomatoes on rye." Albert took 2 napkins from his lunch bag. He tucked one napkin under his chin. He spread the other one on his desk like a tablecloth. He arranged his lunch neatly on the napkin. With his spoon, he cracked the shell of the hard-boiled egg. He peeled away the shell and bit off the end of the egg. He sprinkled salt on the yolk and set the egg down again. He unscrewed his thermos bottle cup and filled it with milk. Then he was ready to eat his lunch. He took a bite of sandwich, a bite of pickle, a bite of hard-boiled egg, and a drink of milk. Then he sprinkled more salt on the egg and went around again. Albert made the chicken, the sandwich, the pickle, the egg, and the milk all come out even. He ate his bunch of grapes and his tangerine, and then he cleared away the crumpled up wax paper, the eggshell, and the tangerine peel. He set the cup custard in the middle of the napkin on his desk. He took up a spoon and ate all the custard. Then Albert folded up his napkins and put them away. He put away his cardboard salt shaker and his spoon. He screwed the cup on top of his thermos bottle. He shut his lunchbox. He put it back in the desk and sighed. "I do like to have a good lunch," said Albert. Frances ate her bread and jam and drank her milk. Then she went out to the playground and skipped rope. She did not skip as fast as she had skipped in the morning, and she sang, "Jam in the morning, jam at noon, bread and jam by the light of the moon. Jam is very nice." When Frances got home from school, Mother said, "I know you like to have a little snack when you get home from school, and I have one all ready for you." "I do like snacks," said Frances, running to the kitchen. "Here it is," said Mother, "a glass of milk and some nice bread and jam for you." "Aren't you worried that maybe I'll get sick and all my teeth will fall out from eating so much bread and jam?" asked Frances. I don't think that will happen for quite a while," said Mother, "so eat it all up and enjoy it." Frances ate up most of her bread and jam, but she did not eat all of it. After her snack, she went outside to skip rope. Frances skipped a little more slowly than she had skipped at noon, and she sang, "Jam for snacks and jam for meals. I know how a jam of jar feels, full of jam." That evening for dinner, Mother cooked spaghetti and meatballs with tomato sauce. "I'm glad to see that there will be enough for second helpings," said Father, "because spaghetti and meatballs is one of my favorite dishes." "Spaghetti and meatballs is a favorite with everybody," said Mother. "Try a little spaghetti, Gloria." Said Gloria, and she tried the spaghetti. Frances looked down at her plate and saw that there was no spaghetti and meatballs on it. There was a slice of bread and, you guessed it, a jar of jam. Frances began to cry. "My goodness," said Mother, "Frances is crying." "What's the matter?" asked Father. Frances looked down at her plate and sang a little sad song. She sang so softly that Mother and Father could scarcely hear her. "What I am is tired of jam." "I want spaghetti and meatballs," said Frances. "May I please have some?" "I had no idea you liked spaghetti and meatballs," said Mother. "How do you know what I'll like if I won't even try?" asked Frances, wiping her eyes. So Mother gave Frances spaghetti and meatballs, and she ate it all up. The next day, when the bell rang for lunch, Albert said, "What do you have today?" "Well," said Frances, laying a paper doily on her desk and setting a tiny vase of violets in the middle of it, "let me see." She arranged her lunch on the doily. "I have a thermos bottle with cream of tomato soup," she said, "and a lobster salad sandwich on thin slices of white bread. I have celery, carrot sticks, and black olives, and a little cardboard shaker of salt for the celery, and 2 plums, and a tiny basket of cherries, and vanilla pudding with chocolate sprinkles and a spoon to eat it with." "That's a good lunch," said Albert. "I think it's nice that they're all different kinds of lunches and breakfasts and dinners and snacks. I think eating is nice." "So do I," said Frances, and she made the lobster salad sandwich, the celery, the carrot sticks, and the olives come out even in the end. The end. So, try things. You never know if you're going to like them, right? And the next book is called Fish is Fish, and it's by Leo Liani. At the edge of the woods, there was a pond, and there a minnow, and a tadpole swam among the weeds. They were inseparable friends. One morning, the tadpole discovered that during the night he had grown 2 little legs. "Look," he said triumphantly, "look, I am a frog." "Nonsense," said the minnow. "How could you be a frog if only last night you were a little fish, just like me?" They argued and argued until finally the tadpole said, "Frogs are frogs and fish is fish, and that's that." In the weeks that followed, the tadpole grew tiny front legs and his tail got smaller and smaller. And then one day, a real frog now, he climbed out of the water and onto the grassy bank. The minnow too had grown and had become a full-fledged fish. He often wondered where his 4-footed friend had gone, but days and weeks went by and the frog did not return. Then one day, with a happy splash that shook the weeds, the frog jumped into the pond. "Where have you been?" asked the fish excitedly. "I have been about the world, hopping here and there," said the frog, "and I have seen extraordinary things." "Like what?" asked the fish. "Birds," said the frog mysteriously. "Birds." And he told the fish about the birds, who had wings and 2 legs and many, many colors. As the frog talked, his friends saw the birds fly through his mind like large, feathered fish. "What else?" asked the fish impatiently. "Cows," said the frogs. "Cows, they have 4 legs, horns, eat grass, and carry pink bags of milk." And this is what the fish is imagining. "And people," said the frog. "Men, women, children." And he talked and talked until it was dark in the pond. But the picture in the fish's mind was full of lights and colors and marvelous things, and he couldn't sleep. If only he could jump about like his friend and see that wonderful world. That's what the fish would love to see. And so the days went by. The frog had gone, and the fish just lay there dreaming about birds in flight, grazing cows, and those strange animals all dressed up that his friend called people. One day, he finally decided that come what may, he too must see them. And so with a mighty whack of the tail, he jumped clear out of the water and onto the bank. He landed in the dry, warm grass, and there he lay, gasping for air, unable to breathe or move. "Help! Help!" he groaned feebly. Luckily, the frog, who had been hunting butterflies nearby, saw him with all his strength and pushed him back into the pond. Whew. Still stunned, the fish floated about for an instant. Then he breathed deeply, letting the clean, cool water run through his gills. Now he felt weightless again, and with an ever so slight motion of the tail, he could move to and fro, up and down, as before. The sun rays reached down within the weeds and gently shifted patches of luminous color. This world was surely the most beautiful of all worlds. He smiled at his friend the frog, who sat watching him from a lily leaf. "You were right," he said to his friend. "Fish is fish, and frogs are frogs." The end. So boys and girls, this is the last day that I'm going to read to you. It has been a kind of strange time that you've not been at school with your friends, but school, as you know it, from home, is going to be over soon, and then the summer will begin. I know it's been hard for all of you, but I've heard from so many teachers that they're really proud of you, paying attention to your studies and working with your parents to learn as much as you can, even though you're not in your actual school building. Hopefully that day will come soon, but until then, I want you to have a wonderful summer. I have enjoyed thoroughly reading to you all these weeks, and even though I can't see you, I believe you're there, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to the stories from me. So have a wonderful summer, be safe, and stay well, and have fun.